Most agents negotiate repairs after an inspection, but the best agents negotiate repair credits. You see, there's a meaningful difference, and it shows up at the closing table. Here's how to use repair credits effectively without creating new problems on the financing side. The repair negotiation is one of the most consequential conversations in a transaction, and it's one where the financing dimensions is almost always underweighted. An agent who negotiates a repair has to coordinate contractors, timelines, seller cooperation, and verification that the work was actually completed. A seller who agrees to a repair and then doesn't complete it on time or completes it poorly has just created a new problem at the moment when there's no time to fix it. A repair credit, on the other hand, gives the buyer cash at closing to address the issue on their own timeline, with their own contractors, at their own standard of quality. For the seller, it's often simpler too. Write a check at closing rather than manage a repair process under the time pressure. The questions agents have, and it's the right question, is whether the credit affects the loan. The answer depends on how it's structured, and that's exactly what I want to walk you through. Here's what agents need to know about how repair credits interact with financing. Repair credits are classified by lenders as seller concessions. Seller concessions are capped as a percentage of the purchase price depending on the loan type and the down payment. On a conventional loan with less than 10% down, seller concessions are capped at 3% of the purchase price. But with 10 to 25% down, the cap is 6%. On FHA loans, the cap is 6%, and on VA loans, it's 4%. Repair credits count towards those caps, so an agent who has already negotiated closing costs needs to make sure the repair credit doesn't push the total concessions above the allowable limit. If the total concessions are at or near the cap, there are a few ways to approach it. First, the repair credit can be offset by a smaller price reduction. That achieves the same financial outcome for the buyer without being classified as a concession. Second, the repair credit can be applied to prepaid expenses and escrows rather than closing costs, which in some cases doesn't count against the concession limit. Third, the seller can simply drop the price and the buyer uses the savings to fund the repairs themselves after closing. The key is that the agent and lender need to be talking before the credit is agreed upon, not after. A repair credit that pushes concessions over the allowable limit either needs to be restructured or it creates a last-minute problem when underwriting flags it. Agent called me mid-transaction. Inspection had come back with a list of items: roofing repairs, some electrical, a water heater that was past its useful life, total estimated cost around $18,000. She negotiated a $14,000 repair credit from the seller. Felt like a good outcome. When I ran the numbers, the buyer was on a conventional loan with 8% down. The 3% seller concession cap on that purchase price was $15,900, but they'd also negotiated $4,000 in closing cost credits earlier in the transaction. Total concessions with the repair cost were $18,000, but the cap was $15,900. They were $2,100 over, and underwriting was going to flag it. So we restructured. The seller agreed to a $2,100 purchase price reduction instead of a portion of the repair credit. Net financial income for the buyer was essentially identical, and the concession total came back under the cap. 20-minute phone call, no renegotiation drama, transaction funded on schedule. If that call happened before the repair credit was agreed upon, the restructuring would have happened in the offer, not in a scramble 2 weeks later. Yeah, common mistake is negotiating repair credits without knowing the concession cap. This is not a criticism. Most agents aren't expected to know the specific concession limits for every loan type off the top of their head. That's what I'm here for. The mistake is not including the lender in the conversation before the credit is agreed upon. A 2-minute phone call before the repair addendum is sent, that's all it takes. Here's what I'm thinking. $12,000 repair credit, buyer has these other concessions already. Are we within the cap? I can answer that in 2 minutes and tell you exactly how to structure it if we're not. Okay, so this week, go through any active transaction where you're heading into or through an inspection, and call me before you finalize any repair negotiation, not after. Tell me the purchase price, the loan type, the down payment, and any seller concessions already agreed upon. I'll tell you exactly what the cap is and how much room you have. If you're close to the limit, I'll walk you through the restructuring options so you are presenting a clean solution to the seller rather than coming back after the fact. You can schedule a call at teamaronheim.com for realtors or text me at 303-596-9077. The inspection negotiation is one of the moments in a transaction where having the right lender in your corner makes a tangible difference. not just in whether the deal gets done, but in how clean and stress-free the path is. If you want a lender who picks up the phone before the problem is urgent, that's what I do. Schedule a call at teamaronheim.com for realtors or text me at 303-596-9077.